Hi, and welcome to a special episode of Real Trail Talk. I'm Donovan D'Souza from The Long Ways Better.
And I'm Mark Pybus from The Life of Pi. So if you've listened to the last episode, you obviously know this is coming, but we're going to do a bonus pod with Steve while we've got him here.
What a week it's been.
Welcome back, Steve.
Thanks.
So the purpose of this podcast is to talk about the new Helena shelter or campsite that's going in, and a bit around the history of what it took to get to this moment, which it is due for completion in late May, early June. Is that right, Steve?
I'm hoping so. I've got a walk scheduled to go out there in June, so I'm hoping it's ready to go. Yeah.
So as we all know, the Helena campsite burnt down in the fires of, it was January 2018, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
So we had a rather warm weekend. It was a deliberately lit fire, and it, ravaged the area, and unfortunately we lost the campsite. But luckily, with insurance and funds in the bank, we now are in a position where we can rebuild. And it's going to be a little bit of a different design, isn't it, Steve?
It is. It's really exciting, actually. So probably I would think most people have seen the sketches that we've got up on our website and out on social media, which had some really, really good feedback, which is fantastic. Because, it did take a bit of thinking to get to this design. I guess where it came from was from a variety of processes, I guess. So most people will be aware that we've got 4 rammed earth campsites, shelters out on the track at the moment, and they're all of the Nornalup style.
Yeah.
All of them were from after the various fires of 2015. And I guess they were the trial rammed earth campsites to see what's right with them, what works, what doesn't work, and go from there. And they're fine, I think, to the extent where that Nornalup design will suit certain locations, but when it came to looking at what we wanted at Helena, the Nornalup style never really suited. So for those of you that had been to the original campsite before it was burnt down, will know that it wasn't a deep south, but it was a similar design. It was a stretch which had the one side open facing the magnificent view, and we wanted to retain that view, because that's a major part of the experience of that site. So looking at how the trial was going with the Nornalup, the rammed earth ones, and also at the request of DBCA doing a vision workshop and also a survey, an online survey, to get people's thoughts about different campsites, shelter designs, etc. We came up with a striking design for Helena.
This was something that I remember from that workshop, because Mark and I were in attendance there, and I remember being in the minority of people who like the Deep South more than the Nornalup. However, I always felt that, and I'm glad that you said this, that the Deep South, or one of the standard huts, was much more suitable to a site like Helena than, say, Dogpool. So I'm glad that you guys went with that and came up with something completely radical in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and there are other sites that are the same too. Like if you think of Blackwood, if we had to rebuild that up there, that wouldn't necessarily be a Nornalup. I think a Deep South would be the best suited for that view. So yeah, absolutely. But I guess also what we wanted to think about was, okay, is it going to be rammed earth? Is it going to be something else? So that was also part of the mix too. And there was feedback about that from the vision workshop as well. So it was decided that it was going to be rammed earth, mainly because it's fire resistance, I guess. Plus also a reasonably, when I say easy material to work with, it's easier than some materials, but also affordable as well. So we had to look at a whole range of things there. And so DBCA came up with some ideas of different designs for it, which were variations of the Deep South, the variations of what we've decided upon. And I guess one of the good things about this style of shelter is that it's almost modular. You can take it and add more parts to it if you think a site needs a bigger shelter or a smaller shelter. So, it's a bit more adaptable in that sense. So that saves some costs, save some money as well. So that modular design is good, but mainly we wanted to retain the view. We know that it's a popular site, and we know that the shelter that was there was insufficient, and I don't know if many people knew this, but we were actually starting to renovate it and extend it just before it burnt down, which was really annoying. So there is the recognition there. So it isn't just the shelter that will be different, but the whole site, as part of its rehabilitation, there'll be a few more tent sites, there'll be extra tables, a whole rejig of what a Bibbulmun Track campsite looks like.
Yeah. And before I get to my main question, that was one thing looking at the drawings I wasn't quite sure about. So the deck that you were building before it all burnt down, will that be rebuilt with the new shelter? Because the drawings only really showed the shelter, and it kind of looked like a bit of a missed opportunity if the deck isn't going to be out there.
So it wasn't actually when you say deck, it wasn't like a wooden deck like we talked about last week with Franklin, right? It was a more of a retaining wall where it was built up. So it still need to have something like that because of the slope of that it's on. So it will still need to have that built into it in some way. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to happen, but yeah, I would imagine it would. Absolutely.
And the main question I was going to ask is, how close did my half hexagonal design we talked about on the previous episode? Did I need to donate more money? Or
lots. It wasn't one of the plans I saw, I'm afraid to say.
So say if Mark donated, I don't know, $100,000. Could we have made this happen?
I don't know that it would suit that site.
I didn't even submit plans. That was my issue. I think with a visionary process, I think that would be a good design. Maybe if like Woolwich broke or got burnt down, or
please don't even go there.
It might work better at Blackwood.
It actually might. I do enjoy that campsite. Made out of pine as well. Although we shouldn't say anything because that area almost got burnt down again recently.
It nearly went again. It did, yes.
So obviously we've got a new style. Has it been given a name yet?
Oh, that's a good one, actually. I'm not sure that we were thinking about calling it a different name. That's a good one. No, it hasn't. There you go, folks. Send in
Maybe
your
we'll
bids.
have a competition.
So
my first thought would be it's a Helena style, because this is where it's first coming in.
Yep.
But others might have a different opinion, different idea.
Also, I guess, I don't know, you might want to wait till see it's built and then go, okay, this is what we're going to call it. Because, our drawing designs always look a bit different to what they're on the ground, but it'll look very similar to the drawings, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I had some questions, because looking at it, it looks like there's a lot of bunks in there. So how many people is that designed to sleep?
I did actually count it, and I don't think I remember how much it was, but it will sleep more people than your Deep South, absolutely. And so even just looking at the tables that are there, they're designed to cater for everyone. That's not only just in the shelter, but also at the campsites too. Yeah. That's the idea. Bearing in mind that the tables you see in that drawing, there will also be external tables as well. So those ones will just be the ones inside.
Because there's like 3 or 4 in there, isn't there?
I think there's 4, inside. So there's 2 in where the bunks are, I think, from memory, and I don't have a drawing in front of me, but also the other 2 on the side.
Yeah.
Again, because, a lot of the feedback we got was we want undercover area for the tables as well, because it is a busy site, but also it means that there's more space to hang your packs or your wet coats or whatever it is you want to hang up.
Yeah, I noticed a plethora of places to hang things, because that was a big feedback about the
absolutely.
Nornal huts.
Yeah, and I guess to that end, with the rammed earth Nornal ups that are there at the moment, there has been a design where hooks have been installed. Certainly at Brookton. I've been told it's happened at some of the others as well. I will know very soon, next week, the week after. I'll be looking at, I'll be at Gardner and Dogpool, so I'll know. But so hooks is a big one. So that's the other thing that's happening. Again, because like we said, it is a trial, and so lots of feedback still coming with those, about those shelters. The other thing was the open wall in the Nornal up, Round Earth Nornal up. So I think Brookton will do a trial of closing one of them in and seeing how that goes, in terms of whether it feels like you're rattling around in a space then, or whether, just see how that goes. So certainly a lot of things have been taken on board, but the one at Helena is just, I think it's great. It's fabulous.
Yeah.
And the toilet block, is that going to be your full disabled access, Grand Palace metal, stainless steel handrails everywhere, or is that going to be in the old style again?
It will be the former, yes. That's a long list, I can't repeat it. Yeah, that's standard now to have mobility access toilets.
But it won't have that nice pedestal view that we used to have.
No.
Well, let's just wait. I haven't actually seen exactly how that's going to look. I mean,
Yeah.
it'll be the same designs like at the one at Brookton or the other Rammed Earth campsites. How it's positioned and exactly where it's positioned, I'm not quite sure. So yeah, let's. I mean, because the one at Brookton, the wooden one that was there before, used to have a window in it. Which was good and bad. Someone told me it was a one-way mirror. I'm going, it's not a one-way mirror. I don't know what gave you that idea, but everyone can see what's going on. But, I don't have a problem with usually just leaving the door open, depending where it's facing. Yeah. But the other thing, I guess, to talk about, because it's something that does come up a fair bit, is the length of time it takes from destroying a shelter being destroyed to it's being usable again after it's been rebuilt. So there's a lot of stuff that has to happen, and you alluded to some of it, Mark, earlier. So a fire goes through, once it's all declared safe, the survey's done of the damage, then it's assessed and valued and all that kind of thing. Then there's an insurance claim. Then the insurance claim's got to be approved. Then the payout, and then you can actually start designing or do whatever, put it out to tender and then get that approved. So it's actually a fairly long involved process, and there's a whole range of building approvals as well that's got to happen too. But I did hear somewhere that the shelter might be ready well before June at Helena. Who knows? We'll see. I've been told the work's coming along really well, so hopefully.
Some of our friends were there, and the progress looked pretty good.
Yeah.
I was extremely heartbroken to see how burnt the forest was.
Yeah.
Because that was one of my favourites.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a really severe fire. Yeah.
I think that really shocked me, because I hadn't expected it to be as terrible as that was.
Yeah, and there is that section of pine plantation that you walk through on the way to Helena from the Hills Forest, and that was decimated, so it's not very pretty at all, and that'll take a long time because that'll have to be replanted, I guess, as well. But it really did hit hard. I was out there not long after. I was taken out with the fire crews to have a look at the area not long after the fire, and it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
But there you go. That's life in WA.
Yeah. So I guess we can't really talk about Helena without also talking about Sandpatch, which was burnt down not long after. How is the replacement for Sandpatch going?
It is happening. I don't have much in the way of details for that. I know that there's been an issue with deciding what the campsite's going to be built of, because I believe that Rammed Earth isn't an option for that one. Oh. Yeah, just because it's in a dieback area, a risk of dieback, and so there's an issue going on there. I'm not across all the details there. I know that it is progressing. I believe that the insurance claim has been approved, so we're beyond that. But yeah, that'll be a little while longer in the making. Yeah.
Feel free not to answer this one, but because that was essentially DBCA's fault, do they pay for that, or do you still go through the normal insurance process?
As far as I'm aware, it's still insurance. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah. Could be wrong, can be corrected, but I'm pretty sure that's the case.
And so, does Mark have a chance then of getting a half hexagonal?
Well, I've never visited Sandpatch, so I don't know what it's like. It might, require a pentagon or a dodecahedron design. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'll walk past it and I'll give you my thoughts.
Absolutely.
I guess talking about, you're saying this shelter may not be built in Rammed Earth, so I'm guessing probably wood or
I don't know.
A metal structure.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
What's been the feedback regarding, because I quite like them, but I know a lot of other hikers, the feedback has been that they don't like them, that they find them to be less rustic, is what one of our friends has said.
The wooden ones?
The
Rammed Earth.
The Rammed Earth. And what's your sort of response regarding that in terms of that negative feedback?
Yeah, look, I think like all things, it just takes a bit of getting used to. I believe that when the first one was built, there was a lot of dissenting views, but I think a lot of people have also come around because they've stayed in them, and they and there's been some positives as well. I think we've been so used to the wooden shelters for so long. It's kind of ingrained in us. This is what the Bibbulmun Track is, and it's got that rustic feel. And I'll admit, the first time I saw Brookton, I thought it was the back of a house. From the angle that I saw it, I thought, oh wow, But that was also because it had just been built, and the bush was still recovering, and so a lot of the bush still needs to grow back and give it that feel again.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of factors involved there. I think that. I think that they will probably appear more often after fires. If something else burns down, it's just can't afford to keep replacing the jarrah, I guess. I quite like the jarrah. I'm in two minds about it, I guess, in that way. I think the rammed earths are good, but like I think I said, they still could do with a bit of tweaking. Even Helena, after it's built, will probably go, okay, this is good, but here's another way we can improve it, because there's always room to do that.
Yeah. I remember talking to a ranger in Tassie, telling him that that's what we were, in WA, looking to head towards rammed earth, and he thought that was a great idea for the climate.
Yeah.
Maybe it wouldn't be so much of a problem in Tassie, but who
knows?
Who knows?
They've had quite a few fires.
They have. Yeah. But certainly the frequency that we have here in WA is such a rate that it does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, who knows what's around the corner, right? So, we just got to plan for the future, I guess, in that way, and work with what's going to... Because, we can't afford to just keep losing shelters. So having a design that is will work, but also is good for the hikers, is aesthetically pleasing, is functional, is important too.
Because that's one thing for me, is I don't like the standard shelters, because they feel very dark and very damp. And once you're in them, they're fine. But the rammed earth shelter, especially Possum Springs, was like it feels light and airy. And even though it was raining and terrible when I was there, I was like, it brings a little bit of joy, because it is like the brighter colours and it doesn't feel as dark and damp. And I know some people enjoy that, but on the other hand, it is nice to look at something that's aesthetically pleasing at the same time.
Yeah, I've not been a fan of the standards.
Yeah, they're a bit small.
They were the original design, I think I said in a previous podcast, that was people didn't know how big the Bibbulmun Track would be, how popular it would be, so but there's not many of them, and the ones that are there are earmarked for extension, like we've done with Mount Dale and Swamp Oak.
Has there ever been any consideration of a Mundabiddi style shelter in these sort of rebuilds?
Not really, no. I mean, the closest that we come to it are the group campsites at Arcadia and Lyles and Mount Cook group campsite. I guess we do still want to retain that rustic kind of approach to it, or the smaller kind of. They're quite big, So, I guess having the steel rafters is probably as close as what will come to it. Yeah.
And one question I have to ask about Helena is there any special coating going on the walls to stop them being so crumbly?
Yeah, it's a good question. It is a bit of feedback we've had, and we've asked that of the department. The answer is no, because the advice that they've had from the people that work with it is saying don't do it, because it's actually over the long term more detrimental. So the advice that the department's been given is that it will be crumbly for a while and dusty to an extent, but that should diminish over time. You'll still get some dust, like if you bash something against it, it might still crumble, but most of that will reduce over time. I can't remember what the reason was for not coating it. There was something that wasn't good for it. So, yeah.
And I remember the last time you were talking about Grimwade's shelter and that being a trial for a new base for the shelters. Is that going to be going in at Helena?
Good question. Not sure. I don't know. I can't answer that one, sorry. I would imagine that they would obviously put some kind of base in there that would work, because the previous one was a bit dusty. Because I think it did have something in there, the previous shelter. I don't know that it was the same as what Grimwade had. But it wore away after. It wasn't too long. It wore away and then it just became dusty again. So, having some really good surface there would be advantageous.
And the tent sites won't have the black ground at Blackwood has.
What is it? The blue metal.
The
black metal. Yeah. No.
So
Not if I have anything to do with it.
The tent sites would have survived almost intact, wouldn't they, through the fires? Or,
You would have thought so.
yeah, because I stayed there 3-4 months before it burnt down, and I remember like looking at them like, this is a really good way that they've done these tent sites all up on the hill and different paths that you can take. So hopefully it's still the same when we get there.
Yeah. But I think I also mentioned there'd be a few more tent sites around the place too. So I'm not quite sure where they're going to go. I haven't seen a design of the campsite itself. But given that it's such a popular site,
I think one thing that people enjoy is the views, and they're not going anywhere. The forest may be a little bit burnt, but you can still enjoy the valley.
Yeah, it'll take a while for those Wandus to recover. It's really sad to see what's happened there, but yeah, it'll come back eventually.
One of my favourite treetops as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
They do look better when burnt than a sudden other tree that never recovers.
And on that note, thanks Steve for coming.
Thanks guys.
So it was about invaluable having you in talking about the new shelter, and hopefully it'll be a month and a half maybe before people can go in and have a look for themselves.
Hopefully, as soon as it's ready to go, we'll be announcing it. Bear in mind that it's not just the shelter construction, it's everything else around it that's got to be done as well. So the tent sites, the toilet, and we want to get water in there as well before people start using it. So, yeah.
Excellent.
Cool. Thank you for coming in, Steve. And thank you everyone for listening to this special mini episode. If you had any questions regarding this pod or any other episodes, or any suggestions for any future episodes, please email us at realtrailtalk@gmail.com. And if you've enjoyed this pod, please rate us on iTunes or Podbean. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back in 1 week.